So today we're going to be upcycling this bow-fronted chest of drawers. It's all been sanded down. I know this is going to bleed, so I will be putting a primer on it. But before I do, I just want to introduce Gracious in Pink, one of the brand new Posh Chalk Deluxe Decoupage. So she will be going on the front, and then on the side I'm going to be taking Dusky Skies, folding it in two, or rather splitting it in two, and one half will go on one side and one half will go on the other. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the drawers. Just keeps the edges nice and clean. This is going to be a bleeder, so I'm going to be putting some Dixie Belt Boss in white on the surface to stop any bleed-throughs. The Boss is on the surface, it's dried. I'm now going to go over the surface with some Dixie Belt Silk in the saltwater colour. Paint's dry, time to pop our Gracious in Pink Deluxe Decoupage paper on the surface. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this border from the printer. The eye is always drawn to straight lines. There you can see I've got a really nice jagged line. And I must say, by wetting it, it does make it a lot easier. So there she is, all nice and borderless. Now you can use any top coat sealer. I would advise the glue being as thin as possible. Really driving the paper under that ledge. This is a dry method. You can also iron this stuff on as well, stretching it into that little nook and cranny there. So it's sliding over the ridge here, so I'm just placing that brush up there, and then I can really push the paper up. I'm ripping the paper here because obviously I can't leave the paper hanging there, and I'm going to frame this. Whilst Gracious in Pink is drying on the front, we're going to start looking at the sides. For the sides we're going to be using Dusky Sky. The same thing again, getting plenty of my infuser on the surface. As I said before, you can use any top coat sealer or decoupage glue. I'm just coming straight in with the saturation process. Now it's time to get the WoodUbend moldings onto the piece. I'm going to use the WoodUbend moldings to frame the actual decoupage. Now what are WoodUbend moldings? They are a range of appliques. They have all the properties of wood, so you can paint them, you can sand them, you can stain them because they're porous, you can slice them and shave them. But the fabulous thing about these is once you warm it up, it becomes nice and bendy and flexible, but we'll see that as we're going along. What I don't like is this bit here, which is protruding. And there you have it. So we've got a new design there. I can come in with my sandpaper. See, you even get proper sawdust. So it's nice and warm now. Just going to place it on the surface. I'm not going to adhere these to the surface. I'm going to get my shape right first. So I'm going to bend it all into shape. So if I hold that long enough in that position now, it will go cold and stay in that shape. I'm going to be using 1394 on the bottom. This is a cold one. I've had one on the griddle for the past 10 minutes. So it's now sitting on the curvature of the furniture, and it will cool down and it will stay in that position. But this is nice and flexible. It's been on the griddle quite some time now. And I think I'm just going to curve that in just slightly, like that. And I'm going to hold that until it goes cold. The one I've just bent into shape now has gone cold. Obviously I'm going to be putting another piece on the other side of the drawers. So I'm going to put it on top of this one so I get exactly the same. So I'm going to pre-paint these in a relatively neutral colour, and I'm using Putty by Dixie Belle. You should always use a flexible paint, because when you then bend them again, you don't want the paint cracking. To apply WoodUbend mouldings to any surface, always use a good quality wood glue. So as I'm pressing down, glue is expelling. So I'm just taking a wet paintbrush and wiping it away. I'm going to come in and just chop a little bit of that down. I just think it'll overcast her face a little bit too much. You can apply them to wood, stone, plastic, and even glass. A lot of people ask me if I push down on the WoodUbend moulding whilst it's warm, am I going to ruin the design? And the answer is no, it does spring back. So whilst it's still warm, I'm going to come in with my Stanley knife and cut it. So now that the WoodUbend moulding has gone cold, I can come back in with my sandpaper and smooth it down. So these surfaces look a little bit too flat for me, so I've got my little engraving tool out and I'm going to try and make some little grooves. I've got my 1394 WoodUbend moulding. I've pre-painted it in the Dixie Bowl paint and I've used the colour putty. Again, I'm going to be framing the decoupage. Always remember to cover the entire surface of the back of the WoodUbend mouldings with glue. Just getting rid of my excess glue here. As I'm pressing these down, I'm going to get more glue seeping out. That is not a bad thing, that's a good thing. It just means that it's actually adhering to the surface. I'm just squirting some apricot on here, and I'm trying to go with the brush strokes of the original. I'm going to use a bit of dried sage. This is the great thing about these papers, you can make them your own. A little bit of dried sage and some gravel road. I'm just trying to blend it in here to make it look like it's already there. I'm just going to finish off up here with a paintbrush. Right, now it's time to get some stenciling going. This is white gold. The pigments are by Posh Chalk. Now we're going to get some WoodUbend trim on the bottom here. So this trim has been on the griddle for the past 10 or 15 minutes. It's nice and warm. And I always say to keep the trim in its coil as much as possible. Now I'm just going to shave that a little bit down there. I'm going to slice it because it is a little bit too thick where the leg is. So now we're going to be using 1388-9. I'm going to cut that piece out there. And I'm going to leave that for about 2 or 3 minutes until it goes cold so that it stays in that position. I'm going to get some glue on the back of this. So it's nice and warm, popping it on the surface. I'm bringing my crystal knob in now so I can get the exact position. I'm going to start off with some Dixie Belle Gravel Road. Again, I'm making the paper my own design because I'm going to bring in other colours. A little bit of burlap. I'm going to take a sponge to that now. So I'm just sponging it in now. I've sprayed it with a little bit of water. Coming in with a little bit of rusty nails. Now the great thing about these paints is I can use them with water because they are a water-based medium. Now I'm going to start using the Posh Chalk Metallic Paste, and I'm using red alizarin. I'm gradually going to start blending out into creams now because it is going to be a cream piece. I'm just going to come in with some of the paste. Again, I'm going to make it my own and just incorporate this red into the picture here. So a little bit of blue phthalo, green phthalo and blue Prussian. You can see how beautifully these pastes mix and create some fabulous colours. I'm now using vintage gold. As you can see, you can put them on with a brush as well as a trowel. And I'm now going to lift it all up into a lighter colour. Using Dixie Belle drop cloth. Now I'm going to mix some of the white gold pigments. Now the great thing about these pigments is you can make your own consistency, so you can have them as watery as you wish to make a wash, or you can even turn them into a thick paste. I'm using a paper towel here just to take the excess off the stippling that I've done. So to finish the top off, I'm using the No Pain Gel Stain by Dixie Belle in the espresso colour. So what's a chest of drawers without some sexy sides to it? Right, taking the tape off that I initially applied. So I'm using the Posh Chalk metallic paste in the white titanium. I'm just using a plastic flexible spreader here. You can use a credit card. Whilst the paste is still wet, we're going to pop it. Now I'm going to apply some Big Mama's Orange Grove butter wax. It is fabulous for reconditioning wood. Right, so now that this is finished, I'm just sealing it all with Dixie Belle Best Time Wax in black. You can see now all these lovely cracks and creases, the wax is getting into them. And as I'm wiping back, you can see all that beautiful gold shining through. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.